So welcome to our 5th episode and final this season of Behind the Bar. We are so excited to work with one of our, not last or least, just the last on this particular series of our resident companies. We have Jefferson Choral Society here today. Guys, thank you so much for joining us.
You're so welcome.
I'm going to start by introducing Martha Coffey, who's sitting right here to my left. She is the president of the JCS Board of Directors. Thank you, Martha. And you've been with since I've been here.
Yes.
I have worked with you in some capacity.
Right.
So how long have you been on the Board of Directors?
About 10 years now.
Nice. What is your tenure? When are you? You're supposed to roll off, or are you supposed to?
No, actually, there is no statute of limitations.
So forever.
Right. as long as I will.
On nonprofit boards, if there is no roll off period, it's forever. That's just the rules.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that.
Yes, I have found out.
Yes. All right, Aaron Garber is here. You are the music director and conductor for Jefferson Choral Society. Thank you as well. And how long have you been with the organization?
I've been here 15 years.
So again, forever.
A long time.
You say you can't do it anymore.
Something
but
like
you know what? It speaks a lot about a nonprofit when you're willing to stick with it for that long, which is a perfect segue to the guy at the end of the bar who's been with the Academy for
almost 20 years.
14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. So it does. It speaks volumes about nonprofits, I think, when people stick around that long. So since we've introduced you, we're going to introduce the meat potatoes of this episode, which is the alcohol provided to us by our very kind sponsor, Blue Ridge Beverage. And Blue Ridge Beverage has presented us a seltzer this go. So Fred Scheib, drink aficionado, because I can't say beer. You're not introducing a beer this time.
No.
So drink or cocktail aficionado / facilities manager, what are we tasting today?
All right. Today, our very generous sponsor from Blue Ridge Beverage has provided us a truly original lemonade. Lemonade is a perfect mix for refreshing hard seltzer and sweet lemonade. That's big on taste and low calories. Like sweetness of real lemonade with a refreshment of truly hard seltzer. With only 100 calories, 1 gram of sugar, and 5% ABV.
All right, Aaron, feel free to pop this open.
So let's enjoy.
Yes. A little side note, Martha is a non-drinker, which I love about her. And I got a soda stream for Christmas, and it produces seltzers. So she made her own concoction. What kind of seltzer did you make?
Actually, I opted for the lemonade also.
Well, we're all drinking a lemonade seltzer. Some with alcohol, some with not. Nobody has to know which is which. All right. Let's take our masks off. And feel free to enjoy our beverage. So a little side note. Woody has a team back there now. Woody has gone big time. Woody has a van. Woody has a team. And Woody's team mentioned that they liked the seltzer. So I had already tasted a touch of this. And it's pretty good. I have to say, I was skeptical, but I do like it. How is your seltzer?
Mine is very refreshing.
SodaStream A+.
Yes.
That's good.
Good for the soda stream.
That's nice.
Yeah, this
Fred,
is very.
think?
Yeah, this is very refreshing. Yeah, I'm not a seltzer drinker either, but definitely tastes like lemonade.
This is a by the pool drink. Nobody says.
Yeah.
Very true. It is very. It is. It's
Umbrella.
One of those. It's a dangerous drink. It's one of those that you like have a few, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've had a few.
Put a little umbrella in there or something, and there you go.
Fred, I'm disappointed that you did not bring the umbrella for this episode. That would have been the perfect way to encapsulate the end of this Behind the Bar season. It's okay. All right, so Jefferson Choral Society. I have to be brutally honest and tell you guys that, like, before I started working here, I was not super familiar with your work. I know you guys have been around for a really long time, but like, I would just love to hear the inception of your organization, how long you've been part of the fabric of performing arts in Lynchburg, and just a little bit of background before we kind of jump into your relationship with the Academy.
Sure. We actually started out as the Fine Arts Center chorus. And that was way back when the Fine Arts Center was on Thompson Drive.
Do you remember this, Fred?
When I was there, no, they weren't. They performed there, but they didn't. They weren't part of the company.
Before this is
This is way before
long
mine.
before 14 years. Yeah.
Yeah, this is 1970s, as I understand.
Wow. Okay.
So, and then from there, in 1990, we were incorporated as the Jefferson Choral Society. And that name was chosen because of the group's proximity to Jefferson's summer home, Poplar Forest. And from there, we had a number of well-known directors, and we've had just 2 pianists that have been with us any length of time. We have Rose Peak, who is our pianist currently, and we have just continued to evolve and grow. Recently, we've had as many as 100 singers, which is a really large group.
Is there any cap on how many you guys are willing to take on, or what is?
That's determined by how many we can fit on stages. As large as we are, it's already difficult to find venues that will
handle that. It's difficult
that
for
will hold us
to handle that.
Right, right. But we have just continued to try our best to provide a really good variety of music for different age people. Our music runs the gamut, and Aaron will talk more about that. But we just continue to try to engage more young singers. That's something we're always in the market for. And just put out beautiful music for everyone to enjoy.
We do. The concerts that we've heard here have been absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, it is so much fun to be a part of this group, and that's why I'm good for the long haul.
So it would seem serendipitous that you guys would have performed at Poplar Forest at times. Have you ever done that?
You know,
given that's part of how your name's inception?
We haven't, but that's something that we have talked about, and we may yet do.
In a COVID world, even.
Yes,
the
right.
Is probably a draw.
Right. And that's a perfect segue into what Aaron will tell you about the kinds of creative singing events we have been handling during the pandemic.
So that has been what we always keep talking about, is this silver lining that has happened a little bit with COVID. Mm-hmm. It's not just your group, but every one of our resident groups that have sat at this bar have talked about how they've had to get super creative right now. And it is for us, we even talked about it. I mean, I said this in the last episode. Fred and I are hosting behind the bar because we're not doing our usual jobs, which is to facilitate an event that would happen in the space, right, because we don't have as many. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what Jefferson Choral Society has done in this moment and how impactful that has been for your organization.
Well, sure. I'll take us back to 10 months ago in March. And when all this was hitting, March the 9th was when back in the days when I was busy, I actually knew what days of the week were what.
I know, but right? It feels like 5 years
now. I don't know. You say when is this date? I'm not sure, but March the 9th, I'm pretty sure was a Monday, and then the 16th. And Martha and I were actually going to go on March the 17th as part of a group, because I lead some tours as well. We were going to go to Costa Rica on March 17th with a group. That fell through, but we canceled our rehearsals. I believe the March 19th rehearsal we canceled, and then the 16th. We definitely canceled the 16th,
right?
Because you'll remember there was a choir in Seattle, and a lot of people had contracted COVID, and some had died. So everybody was really scared about. But we were all scared about singing in choirs, so we definitely canceled March 16th, and then for the next several months, Martha and I talked pretty much daily about what are we going to do. And as COVID changed daily, and we didn't know, we would have plans. I mean, we spent hours planning and rejecting and planning and rejecting. So finally, when we got to September, we held our first outdoor rehearsal at Timberlake Christian Church. and
which is probably very different. I would presume
yes.
the dynamics of you used to being rehearsing
Very different. Very
to going
different.
outdoors, and you've got like elements and birds and things that you're not used to. How did that go in your first couple of rehearsals?
Well, what we did is we limited it to a maximum of 15 singers. So we kept masks on, even though we were outside. Masks on, 6 feet apart, and limited to 15. And we had 3 groups. We had about 45 roughly sign up for that. And we did 45 minutes at a time. And then that allowed for 15 minutes for people to get out so they weren't in contact with another group.
And this was still in March. This was how you were doing
no, this was in September, the end of September.
A hiatus.
We took a hiatus because we kept trying to think we'd do this, but then we didn't know. So we did that. And then at that same time, we started a Zoom rehearsal once a week as well. So we had our outdoor rehearsal and a Zoom rehearsal.
Which the sound quality on Zoom is terrible. So how does that?
It's sort of a conductor's dream because you mute everybody but yourself. We did that.
They're working in their own spaces on their own practice.
Right.
Exactly. Basically the point of that.
We once or twice tried to have people sing together and it just could not work.
I can't even imagine.
So
no, there's too much lag
that way because if it hears one noise, it makes that the largest noise on the call. Yeah. So all noises would be competing against each other. So that's interesting. So you were conducting.
From my house, I was there at my piano and I would play and lead that way. And it was an hour total, and we would learn some notes. And then as we got into it, I'd play accompaniment and they would sing along. And then we would have time. We would have a breakout session because we're a big group. It's a chance to meet and greet people.
And still 100 large? Is that how many people were getting on these Zoom?
No, the most we've ever had on one Zoom call would probably be about 50. So
that's a big Zoom call.
It's still a big Zoom. Yeah,
so we've had out of our group, we've probably had a total of maybe 70 participate between the outdoor singing and the Zoom, which I think is pretty good.
During a pandemic, that's actually amazing. That's larger than any other group that
we're really pleased.
And I need to make sure I point out we did a concert outdoors the first weekend in December, which is our usual weekend, on a Saturday and a Sunday. And we had, the elements were crazy at times. That Saturday, the wind was gusting probably 25, 30 miles an hour. The Sunday, it was calmer.
Were blowing straight out.
Was it super cold, though? We had a mild winter for the most part. So
we had a couple of colder nights, but all the way up through mid-November, we were pretty good. And we lucked out because where we were, any kind of rain would have been an issue. But we were pretty fortunate with the weather. So
I'm sorry. We always talk about this bar. This bar has a few hours a day because we have these gorgeous windows in our lower lobby. That the sun just like beats on it, and I am now in the hour where I can't even see your faces. I have to go like this because it is literally the sun beat down hour on this bar. So how is this terrible? Should I keep doing this? Or it's okay. I don't have to see you. You guys are lovely. I can hear your voices.
I'm not offended.
What's most important, I guess, with the chorus. That's amazing that you guys have done what you've been able to do. It sounds like in a pandemic. What is the age demographic for the majority of your group?
Old.
I love your candid.
Well,
but I think that also speaks volumes because it's a time when you hear that certain age demographics are not as active and they're kind of, staying to themselves and at home, which we appreciate. So you guys have, through this pandemic, taken something that this demographic enjoys and you've made it still possible for them to be able to be a part of, which I think that's a wonderful thing that your organization is providing.
And we know that that's important for a lot of our singers. Monday night rehearsals, whether they be via Zoom or in person, that's the only social contact that they have. So it becomes extra important for that reason. And just seeing each other's faces is a reminder that we're not alone. and that we can still enjoy music.
It's so true. I mean, it's a universal thing, but I also think in times like this that organizations and groups that you're part of are so meaningful right now. And
Extra much so.
I think that again, I love hearing this story because it's you could have just said, hey, we have a bunch of older people and we're just going to table this.
Well, and we did think about that, but then we kept reading and researching widely and looking at what other groups around the world were doing, and just decided we can do something. There must be something that will keep us together and keep us singing.
And we were, I know, meeting in person, we felt very safe. We took people's temperatures, and if anybody had been, out of the state or, at all exposed, they wouldn't come. We trust our membership a lot too, and that was very important.
We were really careful. And luckily, Timberlake Christian has a picnic pavilion.
And covered.
It was covered, and that was a big plus. But we had, as Aaron said, the check-ins, and I even impersonated a nurse several nights because ours was unavailable. And I learned how to use the no contact thermometers. And even when it was so cold that they didn't register correctly, and I had to put them in my pocket to get them to work, we were determined that we were going to take all the safety precautions.
That is such a great story. We've all kind of turned into novice nurses.
Yeah.
Pandemic, we've all had to learn how to.
It's what was called for.
We'd be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I may, the music I picked was a combination of seasonal, holiday Christmas music, which of course we didn't really know how long it would last, so we weren't sure. But so we did some of that, but then we took just some of our favorites we've done in the past. Nothing too hard because again, you're outside and you're in smaller groups. But then for the concert, we did come together. So we had about 30 people at each concert, and we're able to socially distance still.
That's awesome.
And it worked. It worked pretty well, and we sounded with masks and outside. Believe it or not, the sound carried more than you think it might. So.
And the words even came through, and we weren't at all sure that would be the case, but we were pleasantly surprised. So we may be in masks for quite a long time yet.
Yeah, well, yes, even they say with vaccinations,
right.
It's still part of, being safe. So it's very true. It could happen for a while. So we have a few minutes left. I'd love to visit a little bit about your May performance here with us. So again, one of my favorite things about your organization, you've made this work, but you've also been prepared to pivot. We had you originally scheduled for our historic theater. You have chosen to go to our smaller venue, which I think is really interesting because you are able to do 2 different concerts on that same day, which I think is really smart. And it's enabled you to kind of, I think take this down a notch and make it feel probably better and more palatable for your patrons who might come to see the concert. So talk a little bit about the change that you made and what you envision your concert to look like with us in the spring.
Well, sure. Well, we have already started Zoom practices for this very concert, the one on June the 6th here. And it is interesting, too, that my understanding is we could fit more singers actually in the warehouse.
It's 70 feet wide in the warehouse. It's a perfect box. And that's without legs. We'll have to talk through that with production, which, do what you have to do, right, to make it work in a COVID world. But it is wider down there than it is on the historic theater.
So that was another reason we liked that thought. But we started Zoom rehearsals, and hopefully March the 1st, which is a Monday, we'll start our in-person outdoor rehearsals again if the weather is okay and if the COVID cases have gone down. Right now we're a little leery with the cases being so high. But between Zoom and in person, and the last weekend of April, the 24th and 25th, we're planning to do an outdoor concert as well at Timberlake Christian Church. That that is all it's all preparation for this June 6th. So we should be really ready. It's a concert, but it's friends. For these outdoor concerts, we're only inviting direct connections. So it's not going to be a lot of people. So this will all lead us up to hopefully a great performance in June, since we can't really practice like we normally do.
So what is the content for this upcoming concert?
Well, a lot of the music is just, I think, feel good, positive. Some of it mentions singing. We're taking 4 John Rutter pieces, and people in the choral world would all know John Rutter, and it's just it's kind of just whether a lot of people love his music, but even if you don't, it kind of makes you happy. We're doing a Beatles medley. The Beatles always makes you feel happy, and it's the feel good. It's of Beatles music. It's even their feel good stuff. We actually have 2 premieres. One by Glenn Buck. That's a name, who's a musician around here, but also he's been at the University of Lynchburg, not in music, but for a long time. Hopefully I'm getting all that right.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Yep.
But Glenn is a fabulous musician, and he has written a wonderful piece dedicated to the people who've lost their lives and been affected by COVID. And then there's also another piece I've written for the same reason. And then just a lot of other pieces that have to do with singing. For example, How Can I Keep From Singing is the title of one. And
so you composed a piece for this.
I have, Glenn. Yep. So we'll have 2 premieres, and then we'll sing the Hallelujah chorus as well. So it's a whole mix.
Tell you, like, there are songs right now that through this whole experience, like, just get you tear. Like the moment that somebody does a rendition of it, and that one for me just keeps it keeps coming back, and people keep singing it at things, and every time I just I cry like a baby at Hallelujah right now, because it's just it's a hard time and it hits you.
And we've ended the last probably 5 or 6 years. We've ended our Christmas concerts with the Hallelujah chorus. It's something we started doing, and but this past outdoor Christmas concert I didn't, because it's not an easy piece of music, and I had no idea how it would work. So we ended with an Amazing Grace arrangement that's really close to our
other song that makes people.
But so now I'm like, okay, we'll get Hallelujah in for this.
So we're going to basically cry at your concert, which is totally fine. I mean, at least let's have a really good reason to cry. So we have a couple minutes left. Again, super amazed how you guys have made this work in a COVID world. I mean, performing and rehearsing on Zoom us having staff meetings on Zoom are problematic. So I think that's amazing. So talk to us if there was anything else that you could share about JCS, or that you would want people to know in 2 minutes. What is that message that you would want to convey?
We're dedicated to presenting music that appeals to all different kinds of people. You ask about the average age, and I just characterized it as old, but I wouldn't want people to think that we're all ancient. Indeed, we have 20-year-olds among us. Now, they're fewer, but we do. In fact, we've got a 91, 91-year-old, and we have 21-year-olds. So that's quite the span.
That is a huge gap.
And it's really neat, because music is the way to bring people together. And it works for different ages, for different people from various socioeconomic backgrounds. It really works as a unifying force. And I love that about it.
Well, you guys are always delightful to work with. And you know what? Old is not bad.
No, it isn't.
If you get a bottle of wine, because it's called Behind the Bar, right, Fred? And it is old, it is better. Mm-hmm. Right?
And I
like that.
Well, I like to think that old's better.
Fred, should I share with them the what we just talked about on this great application, or is that too much?
What's that?
We had somebody send us an email about different boxes that we had to check on a grant application. And Fred enabled us to check a new box.
Oh. Which category?
On our staff, he just hit a certain age that we could say on our staff we had. And it was so sweet. Like, I was like, because I had to go to his office. I was like, I know you're like at retirement age. What, and we had to have this conversation. And then I was like, we can check this box. But what it also says to me is this man could have retired. And I truthfully like to believe that because he was made beer aficionado this year in a COVID world, he's just kept on.
That's what kept
you
I mean, why would he go? He literally said to me at some point, like 2 weeks ago, he's like, getting to come to work and drink on the job is like my dream situation.
That's it. I mean, how could you retire?
It's not so bad. Age is all in what you make.
And I would disagree with Martha when she said we're old. I don't look at us as old, because I can tell you the 91-year-old singer can out sing and outdo most people 30 years.
Experience.
And we're not
seasoned.
And we are all the way from the 20s through the 90s, and several people not old at all in my opinion. So we're a young group in my opinion.
Well, I totally get exactly where you're going with it. And I appreciate you guys. Seriously, again, having made what you made possible in a pandemic speaks volumes of your organization. And it sounds like you guys have been around for a long time. You will be with us for a long time. We're and I'm so glad that you're using the warehouse space, because I think it's a very smart move for you. And it's also a beautiful space on our campus that once this opened, everybody forgot that existed. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really great for you guys to do what you're doing, and
perfect timing.
We're just happy to have you guys as resident companies. And this seltzer, this hard seltzer, thanks to Lauren back there, who allowed me to try it early, at 5% alcohol, is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, it's a full drink.
Yep.
It's a full drink. All right. I'm going to give a big cheers to Jefferson Choral Society. This is the last episode. So a big cheers to our drink/beer aficionado Fred Scheib for knowing all the things about alcohol. To Blue Ridge Beverage and to Centra as our sponsors. We appreciate you. We appreciate Woody Watts and Watts Creative, and Lauren back there for hooking us up with this seltzer and letting us know about it ahead of time. We appreciate you all, and cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.